Good morning, 25th Sunday of Ordinary Time, and we read the Gospel of Mark. They left that place and passed through Galilee. Jesus didn't want anyone to know where they were, because he was teaching his disciples. He said to them, "The Son of Man is going to be delivered into the hands of men. They will kill him, and after 3 days he will rise." But they didn't understand what he meant and were afraid to ask him about it. They came to Capernaum. When he was in the house, he asked them, "What were you arguing about on the road?" But they kept quiet because on the way they had argued about who was the greatest. Sitting down, Jesus called the 12 and said, "Anyone who wants to be first must be the very last and the servant of all." He took a little child whom he placed among them. Taking the child in his arms, he said to them, "Whoever welcomes one of these little children in my name welcomes me, and whoever welcomes me doesn't welcome me but the one who sent me." Frustration is an unpleasant emotion that appears when a person's expectations are not fulfilled. You feel that no matter what you do, you just don't get the desired result. The word frustration comes from Latin, and it means to live without effect or to fail an attempt. What you do, what you say, isn't effective. No doubt Jesus experienced frustration with his apostles. He no longer knew what else to say so that his apostles would understand that he was going to suffer, that he had only a few days left to live among them. This is why in this Gospel we read that Jesus didn't want anyone to know that he was in Galilee, since he wanted to spend time alone with his apostles trying to make the idea clear to them. But it seems that it was useless. Moreover, Jesus' words that he was going to give his own life for the salvation of the world crashed with the self-centeredness of the apostles, who only were thinking about who among them was the most important, fighting to see who would occupy the first places. Jesus' frustration is complete. Not only are his apostles not understanding his message, but they are going in the opposite direction, and this just few days before suffering the Passion. Despite having lived with Jesus for 3 years, destructive feelings such as envy, selfish ambition, jealousy, and criticism are present among the group of the 12. St. Thomas Aquinas teaches us that envy is the sadness that we experience within ourselves when we see the triumph of someone else, inasmuch as it diminishes our own glory. It's to feel that when the other triumphs, something within us dies. When the other goes up, I necessarily go down. Envy has several daughters. For example, hatred, which is wanting the evil of the other, or backbiting, speaking badly of someone in the absence of that person, gossiping, defamation, spreading information that is contrary to the good reputation of someone else, slander, to falsely accuse the other person, jealousy, which is the anxiety that I feel within me when I experience that someone is taking something that belongs to me, or better said, that I think that belongs to me, and I perceive that person as a threat. Criticism, the attempt to lower the esteem that others have for someone, lowering their merits or pointing out their defects, is to have the project of lowering or diminishing the glory of others, and also experiencing joy in the other's adversity, that is to experience consolation when things go badly for the other person. And just as envy has daughters, it also has a mother, which is vainglory, the smugness or presumption of an individual with respect to his own actions or the value he attributes to himself. So we have Jesus, on the one hand, talking about generosity, self-giving, the total surrender of one's own life, and on the other hand, his closest friends swimming in vainglory and envy. It's really something to feel frustrated about. But let's not be scandalized by the apostles. We too experience within us these destructive inclinations. We feel that there is a disorder within us. And here, whoever is without sin, let him cast the first stone. Even without realizing it, we many times seek to be recognized, confirmed, gratified. And this, in itself, isn't bad. It begins to be a problem when our entire life becomes an insecurity in the compulsory search for recognition and for first places. The apostles didn't understand what Jesus was saying. They were still trapped within their own expectations of what the Messiah should do and how he should do it. And they were afraid to ask Jesus because when they did so, Jesus would openly show his frustration to them. The disciples display the same prideful assumptions as the Pharisees, to whom Jesus tells a story about a guest at a wedding banquet who is faced with the choice of taking an honorable seat or sitting in a humbler place. We, in the 21st century, could blame the apostles of such a shameful attitude, but surely if we had been in their very same situation, we would have reacted in the same way, since it was incomprehensible for them to think that Jesus was going to be handed over to be killed. To be very visual, Jesus takes a child and puts him in their midst. Why a child? A child at that time was the lowest on the social scale. It didn't count for anything. Even servants in a house had authority over children. And Jesus identifies himself with a child as one who counts for nothing. Whoever welcomes one of these little children in my name welcomes me. That is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. The dynamism of God's love is not to accumulate glory and honor, but to empty oneself in love and dedication to others. Whoever is able to occupy the last place shows an admirable freedom of spirit. Before God, the important thing is not to be first, but to be happy. We are not the position we occupy. Our value as a person is completely independent of the position we occupy. To think that you're worth more because you are sitting in a position of importance is a very dangerous illusion for the soul. We must understand that our value as human beings is absolute, which is independent of any circumstance. Therefore, I hope we can all let go of this ambition and envy from our hearts, and let's embrace Christ, who loves us just as we are. And God bless you.